Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. The temperatures are going to be pretty up and down, with temperatures around the mid to high 20s through Wednesday and Thursday, before it is cooling down towards the end of the week as we do see some slightly fresher air coming in off the Atlantic. We are also likely to see some thunderstorms around at times as we do see a bit of instability returning over the coming days, but generally it doesn't look too bad for the time of year. As we do head into the longer range, we continue to have quite a lot of interest for the start of August, as it does look like it could start on a pretty warm and dry note. I think it's a bit early to say that it will be definitely hot or any heat wave like conditions, but definitely does look like above average. So we are talking 25 degrees and above, and we are seeing quite a lot of consistency from runs now showing those above average temperatures. The one thing that still is a little bit in the balance is the exact pressure patterns, whether it will be more of a westerly based dominated pattern, which would still be very warm. It can still produce decent temperatures, but it would likely to have a bit more cloud and a bit more rain. And if we do see something a little bit more southwesterly or southerly based, i.e. high pressure extending more over the top of us, then it would not only be a little bit warmer, but it also would be quite a bit drier as well. So still a little bit in the balance, the exact pressure patterns, but majority of runs are now pretty much consistent on that above average temperatures to start August. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, which you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see we've had a fairly dry day, apart from a few showers around early this morning that did stretch through the Midlands into southeast England. A bit of rain around the sort of 7 to 9 a.m. point, but for most it's been a fairly dry day. A few showers offshore in the North Atlantic, but really it is a very nice, pleasant day. Temperatures around average for the time of year, low 20s for many. Do you put on those temperatures? Recording this around 8 p.m. Still, it is fairly warm down the spine of the British Isles, with temperatures still hovering around the 20-degree mark, and it could, as I said, get even higher through tomorrow and Thursday. Maybe even the high 20s could be threatened. Now, if you go over to the latest UKV and start on the precipitation, you can see earlier this morning those few showers spreading through but clearing through the day. As we head into Wednesday, we do see a few more showers arriving from the west, through southwest England, Wales, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, but it shouldn't be completely dominant. There should be some drier patches, just about a lot more cloud and rain showers around. Further eastwards, it's drier and the sunshine will come out, and this is where temperatures could rise, as said, to above 25 degrees. As we head into Thursday, those showers do move through, and as we head into Thursday afternoon, this is where we could start to see that thunderstorm risk in southern areas. So it could be warm in places, but it doesn't. It won't be warm when we see those thunderstorms. Those thunderstorms further southwards, but as sunshine comes through, mid-20s possible. But with those thunderstorms around, probably high teens at best. You can see that through Thursday afternoon. Some pretty severe thunderstorms breaking out. Have to keep a very close eye on that in the southern and southeastern corner. Yeah, it could be pretty miserable indeed through lunchtime into early afternoon, but luckily clears through the evening. But for Scotland, there could still be some thunderstorms around into the evening hours. As we enter Friday, it's a much better day. Again, a few showers around, but generally still fairly dry, and the sun poking through. Into Saturday, again, could see a few showers coming in from the west, but still plenty of sunshine and dry conditions. Again, just pop-up thunderstorms in places. Now, if you put on those upper air temperatures, you can see it is fairly warm at the moment, and even warmer air mass moving in for tomorrow, and that's why those temperatures, as I said, could get into the mid to high 20s through Wednesday, and it could still be warm into Thursday. Still very warm upper air temperatures, but it will very much depend on those showers and thunderstorms. If they are more northward based, than just out in the English Channel, then those temperatures would widely be much cooler than anticipated. But if they're more offshore, then further inland wouldn't be too bad. Into Friday, we're in slightly fresher conditions, but then the temperatures start to rise once again into the weekend and start of next week, and we are likely to return back towards average or above average with this little blip through Friday to Sunday. Again, it won't be cold or anything like that, it's just more towards average or slightly below average, high teens, maybe low 20s at best. Now, if you look at those max temperatures, you can see as we head into Wednesday afternoon, temperatures are said low to mid 20s or even higher 20s, 25, 26 degrees for a large area there across central England, could be a few degrees higher in the best spots. Into Thursday, it will be very much dependent on the shower and thunderstorm amount. In the southeast corner, we've got the thunderstorm, 16, 17 degrees at best. Further northwards, could get back into the low 20s. But again, those temperatures could rise much further than this and much higher if we did see those thunderstorms reduce. Again, it's still a good couple of days away, good 60 hours from this run. So things can change. So we'll have to wait and see and probably have a much better idea in tomorrow's video. If we look at Friday, temperatures responding again, maybe low 20s, but again with those slightly cooler upper air temperatures, it's not going to be quite as high. And the same could be said for Saturday, into the low 20s, but not quite as warm because we do have slightly fresher upper air temperatures, but they will rise once again into next working week. Now, if we do have a look at the medium to longer range, as I said, it is looking fairly warm as we head into early August. Now, we'll just have a look at the upper air temperatures, as that's the main thing that we are looking at here. You can see over the coming days, it's up and down. Warm conditions coming in for a time in the next couple of days, slightly fresh conditions later towards the end of the week, and then into the start of next week, we do see those warm conditions returning. But you see what I'm talking about with the pressure patterns. You can see low pressure out towards the North Atlantic, high pressure towards Europe, and it's the battle here, which is trying to drive up those southwesterly winds, but also whichever winds out, low pressure, high pressure, will decide the fate of precipitation. You can see here, initially, high pressure winds out, but we do see some bursts of lower pressure with those fresh air masses and weather fronts moving in the north. But to start early August, you see the warm air is gathering to our south, and you can see the upper air temperatures do rise significantly there into early August. Temperatures would be rising quite a lot. Temperatures here, look at that, low to mid 20s or even higher 20s would be very warm indeed, 28 degrees there for the 4th of August. And you can see that's all because very warm air moving in and the low pressure, and of course the precipitation is hanging out to the north and west. Unfortunately for Scotland and Northern Ireland, closer to those fresher air masses and the weather fronts, it is more likely than not that you do see rain here. But I'm talking more about the broader pattern across England and Wales, where it could be very warm and dry indeed. It is, as I said, looking pretty unlikely that it's a completely dry affair for all parts of the British Isles, but for many of us, it could be pretty dry and pretty warm. So you can see an example here from the GFS where it is very warm for a time before eventually slightly fresh conditions push in. But then look at this, out towards 384 hours, more high pressure dominance building in. Now you can see the high pressure has moved more out to the mid-Atlantic, which means the air masses won't be as warm because it'll be very hot. It has retreated away more towards the Mediterranean, so it won't be quite as warm. But again, if we zoom in, you can see the precipitation isn't as extensive, it's non-existent, but at the same time, temperatures are slightly lower, more towards the low to mid 20s and high 20s, or trying to touch 30 degrees. So slightly cooler, but again, would be more widely dry. So you can see GFS looking very warm, potentially pretty dry for some, but not completely dry into early August. Now, if you compare to the latest GM, again, we've got high pressure building in over the coming days, but low pressure returning by the end of the week, giving slightly fresher, thundery conditions, before we start to see a high pressure build early next week for a time, before we see another slightly fresh conditions pushing in. Now, this highlights the pattern, what could happen if the low pressure is a little bit stronger. You can see these the low pressure to the north of Scotland never really fully moves. And unfortunately, that would mean there would be more precipitation around and the fresher air masses would remain. Now you can see there's kind of a battle between blues here and yellows and oranges. And actually, towards the end of this run, yellows initially are winning before blues start to win out. And that means the slightly fresher conditions do win. Now, it doesn't mean it'll be cold. By no means, still into the 20s for many. Just not quite as warm. And we would see more showers and more rain, unfortunately, there as we head towards the daytime period. Now, if you move over to the ECMWF, this has just come out, and again, you see some high pressure over the next couple of days, low pressure moving in for a time later this week, before we start to see a build of pressure again next week. And you can see it is pretty strong across Europe, with the lows hanging much further out in the Atlantic. And what this does is bring up very warm air in. Because we still have a west to southwesterly wind, it won't be completely stagnant air masses. So the temperatures will be up and down, but they will be generally above average. You can see here some very warm air wafting in towards early August. The 15-degree isotherm pushing in there, a little burst of warmth. The temperatures said would respond accordingly before some slightly fresher conditions do push in. So again, not a completely dominant, not a heat wave like pattern yet, but definitely suggesting of more warmer conditions and potentially dry conditions if that high pressure is strong. And we see this exemplified on the latest GFS. Warm for the next couple of days, slightly fresher into the weekend, and then you see next week into the start of August. Lots of ensembles average to above average. Yes, a few cooler runs, and we have noted over the past few days that the GFS has been fairly pessimistic compared to the ECMWF in terms of those temperatures, but still generally average to above average, and you can see the precipitation is fairly low. 2 meter temperatures look at that widely low to mid 20s and could be higher from many ensemble members. So again, I'll repeat, we're not looking at sort of 30, 35 degrees. That doesn't look like an opportunity for that yet, but definitely 25 plus is looking quite a plausible solution with the risk of something warmer still there. And finally, if we compare to the ECMWF ensembles, again, very similar. Slight warmth over the next couple of days, but accompanied by some thunderstorms, slightly fresher into the weekend, and then into next week, turning warmer once again, and a much stronger positive signal there for above average temperatures from the ECMWF ensembles. Still looking very dry to end July and start August, and you see a lot more runs towards the double digits into the low to mid teens, which again would produce temperatures towards 25 to 30 degrees. And again, we can see that on those 2 meter temperatures, again showing those temperatures widely low to mid 20s. And again, these are 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. predictions. By 3 p.m. in the middle of sort of the heat of the day, we would like to see temperatures even higher. So it is looking fairly positive, not a sort of guarantee that we're going to see warm, summery conditions, but it is looking like it is going to be like that at times at least. We'll have to keep a very close eye on it. Still seeing a few erroneous runs out there that do produce very hot conditions. Again, that is a solution, and we'll just have to stay tuned for what the models have over the next few days. So if you do enjoy some summery conditions, it is looking fairly positive. If you do enjoy the much fresher conditions we saw towards the start of July, unfortunately, there could be some of that at times, but not too much. If I'm being completely honest, it does look like we are going to see above average temperatures dominate for the next couple of weeks, more often than not. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.